It's Thursday, October 7th, 2021. I just walked past NYPD, and the gentleman, I made a reference once before that he looked like Tony Koppel, but he actually looks more like Tony Mason from one of the news journals broadcasting programs. And actually, he really looks like this character that's on this show called 911 that Linda just found, but I don't know the character's name and I don't know the real man's name, so I apologize. But anyway, so the NYPD officer, he was looking down at his phone, and usually when I pass by, he's looking down at his phone. So I made mention today, I go, can I ask you a question? Like, quick thought for this morning with my big green and black umbrella displayed, like, peacock plume. I'm like, if, like, I was like, they say these things, like, how do I get a cop, like, to look the other way? Because, like, there's crime going all around the city, right? I was like, so theoretically, like, if I was a master universal programmer, a cell phone would be a great way, because the cop is constantly busy and looking down with programmed inefficiency into his day. So it wasn't the good people that voted for this cell phone. It was criminal enterprise, just so you know. Because I was like, I keep waiting for that day. Like, I wake up and I'm like, come on, leave it to Beaver, leave it to Beaver, leave it to Beaver. And then I open the door and I'm like, oh, God, it's the 20th century again. So he started laughing. And I was like, but right? I was like, think about it. Because they say, how do you know, like, if crime is happening all around and police officers are in charge of like investigating crime and like protecting and serving the neighborhood, in like the way Leave It to Beaver sold the idea of the police department, criminals would be on the opposite end of that cartoon spectrum between like Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, and they would be trying to have the cops' eyes averted from watching the change in the public demograph and the signage and the trucking and the real estate development that doesn't match what's on spec for the city planning department. I mean, like, right? Yeah, because that's kind of what's going on around here. They gave them some handheld, like shiny toy in their hand, put some really dumb, useless facts on it, and now all of a sudden, like, less eyes on where they should be and averted into, not saying that all cops are not doing their job. I'm just saying if it's a shiny toy and the city's going to hell and you all have one. In the 1950s and 60s, before there were cell phones, there was also less crime. We had more team camaraderie and less conflicting accounts. So let's think about this. So that happened. And then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so Tetra Exchange. I saw on the news media, the television, somebody mentioned something about China, Hong Kong. I think Hong Kong's in China. I think that's what my Rapoggle says. But again, it's my reference, my one reference. I can't let the whole world have access to my reference tool. When I speak, it's on what I have accessible to my person. So now China has Hong Kong. Hong Kong has this neon light fetish, according to this one program, and they're taking down the neon. Now, I was in this television, they were talking about this artist who's been, his whole life revolved around neon lighting. So they came up with some kind of amicable way to take away the neon sign but preserve them in like a library catalog of not lit artistic designed neon lights to preserve the culture and the heritage. But if they do get turned on, it is really bad for your eyesight. But anyway, long story short is, he said there's some kind of, you have a glass tube, here are the ingredients, glass tube, some kind of, what the sounds are, phosphoric powder of some sort, Then he fills the tube with some kind of gas that comes out of a tank, and then he seals it. And then when you add or electricity, or you heat up the particles in some format without getting really technical, because we're not teaching this art format, the gas interacts with the chemical compound of the phosphoric powder, and all of a sudden the clear glass tube illuminates